Welcome everybody. Well, glad to be back here. First show in a couple of weeks. This is James Trishnerick here on Spreaker Web Radio. I am doing another live podcast of Real Steel Sports. I hope you all are having a great week. It is just about 11:15 here from my comfy home in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania. I am just watching I was watching most of the game between the Redskins and the Giants. Usually I've not been really able to get the picks done in time for week 4. And not for week 4, but the first game of the season first game of the week on Thursday nights. I mean, I really don't think they should have Thursday night football unless it's season opener, Thanksgiving, or something really special. But the thing is this. I did pick the Redskins, and I'm regretting it because I got the stat sheet up here, and right now Washington's is getting taken to the woodshed. I mean, Eli Manning's having one of his best games he's had in ages. 27 of 38 for 285 and 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's about as good as it gets. And then you got this guy, Larry Donnell, the tight end. 3 touchdowns on 7 catches. I mean, where'd this guy come from all of a sudden? To put that in perspective, I think it was in 2008, there were only 3 receiving touchdown games in the NFL. And so far, I think 4 different players have already done that this year. But regardless, Washington, Kirk Cousins did not have a good game. Completed less than 60% of his passes, 1 touchdown, 4 picks. Funny thing is, I still think he's the better option going forward. A lot of people still think that RG3 can play. I'm going to tell you exactly why RG3 has worked his way out of Washington. It all started in December of 2012 when the Ravens went to Washington to play the Redskins. The Washington Redskins lost RG3 late in that game when he got hit by Haloti Ngata and he was on his knee, his leg straightened out, and his knee went bad, and he was forced to sit. I believe it was until the season finale, and then he got hurt in the divisional round in the wildcard round against Seattle. What Reich Shanahan should have done was gone up to RG3 after he got hurt against the Ravens and say, good season, kid, you're done. Don't want to jeopardize your career, let Kirk carry you through the playoffs. I would have done that. Seriously. Because if RG3's knee wasn't compromised right now, I think the Redskins would be playoff contenders. I really do. Because you look at it, RG3 was not himself when he played last year. He looked slow. He looked out of touch. Simply because he wasn't playing. Anyways, that's enough about RG3. Let's get back to the rest of the picks for week 4. Now, last week I got 11. I'm on the ESPN Pigskin Pick'em. I got 7 points week 1, which was terrible. I got 6 points week 2, which was really bad. And now, last week I did pretty good. I got 11 points. This week I hope to do better. The first game going through the Sunday games, the Bills at Houston to take on the Texans. Both teams, of course, losing. In week 3, the Texans, of course, lost to the New York Giants, and the Bills lost to the San Diego Chargers. This game is a no-brainer for me for this reason. I see no way that J.J. Watt I see no way E.J. Manuel escapes from J.J. Watt in this game because the Bills' quarterback's been under heavy duress all season long, and his receivers aren't doing as good as maybe written up on paper, and the defense is kind of struggling in some places, particularly against the run. So I'm looking for this Houston team, regardless of where Arian Foster plays. It's not a huge deal. I look for them to beat Buffalo. It'll probably be a low-scoring game, but I look for Houston to be able to hold down Buffalo. Now we go to Green Bay at Chicago. The Green Bay Packers have turned into exactly what I thought they would turn into after a few years. I remember after that year, I remember going into the playoffs in 2011. After they had finished the regular season 15-1, and people were like, they're going to win it all again. They're going to have a dynasty. Aaron Rodgers is going to have another ring. He's going to cement himself as the game's greatest quarterback. I knew it was BS for this reason. For one, they didn't have the defense, which they don't right now. Number 2, they get dominated and manhandled on the line of scrimmage. That's another reason, because you look at the way that Rodgers has to bail their asses out every game, and you look at the teams that they're going against now with the limited options. James Jones is gone. Greg Jennings is gone. Donald Driver's gone. Jermichael Finley's gone. Basically, Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb is all that Aaron Rodgers has left to throw to. You can't ask Aaron Rodgers to do everything with just those 2 guys. You can't do it. People want to say, well, Tom Brady played with fewer guys. Yeah, but Tom Brady had a decent defense to boot and and the greatest coach in the league right now. Mike McCarthy's a good coach. He's no Belichick. The Bears right now are playing really good football. They really are. I mean, they've won their last two in San Francisco and New York against the Jets, and I'm looking for them to win their third straight game against the Packers. And their third straight game this season, and then have that B game against the Packers. I didn't want anyone to think they'd beaten Green Bay 3 straight times. My bad. But you get the gist is why I'm picking Chicago, and it's for this reason. Their offense is better. The offensive line looks pretty darn good, and they're just going to manhandle Green Bay up front. You watch. On the other side, Julius Peppers, he might be anxious to get against his former team, but I don't see any reason. I think Green Bay is going to be able to get some yardage against Chicago. I think it's going to be a rather high-scoring game, but I look for Chicago to really shut down Green Bay's weapons, just enough to win. Hell, if Detroit can shut them to 7, I look for Chicago to shut them down to like 20. Speaking of Detroit, that's the next game up, Detroit at New York Jets. Going with the Detroit Lions for this reason. Geno Smith may be the future for the New York Jets, but he's currently not playing as well as projected. I mean, his numbers for this year aren't terrible. They're better than what they were last year. But when you stop and think about it, Detroit is a team that just held Aaron Rodgers to 7 points. They just held Aaron Rodgers to 7. I mean, it's going to be really tough for Geno Smith to manufacture any kind of offense. And the other thing, too, is that the Jets' cornerback situation is pretty limited when you stop and think about it. They're not as good as they used to be when they had Cromartie. I look for Calvin Johnson to have a pretty big game against them. Indianapolis Colts hosting the Tennessee Titans. This game is a no-brainer for this reason. Well, for one, Indy's starting to play better. They played better against Jacksonville. I know Jacksonville's a joke, but just bear with me. They've been playing better as the season's been going on. Andrew Luck is proving that he is definitely the guy. He's playing extremely well right now. He had a great game last week against Jacksonville. Tennessee is playing good, but at the same time, Locker's not been playing, and Charlie Whitehurst might end up starting the game. And that should tell you all you need to know. Here's the other thing that I would like to point out is that the Indianapolis Colts are showing a bigger dedication to running the football than they did at this point last year. They're running the ball a lot more. They're running it a lot better. Trent Richardson, although inconsistent, is playing better. I still think that the running game for Indianapolis could mean the difference between winning and losing. I think it's going to be a big one. I'm looking for Indy to take this game, and I think take it by a good margin, too. The next game, we have the Dolphins at the Raiders. I got to be honest, I'm going with the Raiders. I think they're going to upset Miami. One of my close friends on YouTube is probably going to disagree with me on that, but, he's entitled to his opinion. He's a good guy. He's a big Dolphins fan. But anyways, I got to go with Oakland for this reason. Miami has looked terrible the last few games against Kansas City and against Buffalo. They've looked horrible. Going out the West to play against Oakland's one thing. They're not showing any commitment to Tannehill at the starting job, and shoot, they might end up starting a backup. I think it's Matt Moore. The Oakland Raiders, Derek Carr, in my opinion, is the future for that franchise. He's had a decent start to the season. I mean, looking at his numbers, provided, the one site I want to look up pops up. Here we go. No, I don't want college stats. I want pro stats. There we go. His career record, of course, 0-3. His numbers for his rookie year are not bad. These are his numbers for this year. He's completing 63% of his passes for 588 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. His yards per attempt is extremely low, 5.4. But then again, the Raiders aren't testing his arm and making him throw deep. Once he gets settled in, he's going to attempt more deep passes. But the thing about it is this. The Dolphins' defense has not lived up to expectations this year, has not looked really good. They've not looked good running or throwing the football. I think Oakland takes advantage and beats a struggling Dolphin team in a close one. This next game between Tampa and Pittsburgh, I have to be honest here. I picked Pittsburgh to get beaten soundly by Carolina last week in Carolina. I did not even foresee any remote chance of it even thinking about it possibly happening for Pittsburgh to go in there and to not just beat them, but to beat the shit out of them. Because Carolina is an extremely tough team. They play very physically tough football. They're kind of a squad that you go into their house, you better be ready to play them. The Steelers on the line of scrimmage on both the defensive side and the offensive side dominated in a way that I haven't seen us dominate since the last time we went to the Super Bowl. It's been 3 years since I've seen a Steeler team manhandle an opponent up front. I've never seen anything like it. Le'Veon Bell and LeGarrette Blount both rushing for 100 yards. You've got Ben Roethlisberger, solid game, just shy of 200 yards. Antonio Brown, again, it's almost impossible to cover Brown unless you put almost 3 guys on him. And the Steelers' defense did a great job at breaking through the Carolina offensive front and getting to Cam Newton. People were complaining about how Carolina's offensive line is not as good as last year's. In a way, I disagree because of this. Detroit did not have much success getting to Cam Newton in Week 2, and they've got a line with Fairley, Sue, Ziggy Ansah. They should be able to get like a ton of sacks against them, and they didn't. Our defensive front really broke through. I know he suffered some injuries. I know Ike Taylor's gone for a while, Jarvis Jones gone for a while, Ryan Shazier's gone for at least this week. But honestly, I'm not worried about it due to the signing of James Harrison. Now, you look at Tampa on the other side, they're having problems. Quarterback position's not panning out. Doug Martin's not having a good start to this year. Offensive line does not look good. Defense is getting trampled. Tampa is the bottom feeder in the NFC South for a good reason. They're just not playing very good. And now they're going into Pittsburgh. Big mistake because I'm going with the Steelers. It's kind of funny because, obviously the Steelers are my favorite team and they're always going to be my favorite team. But the thing about it is, even with Shazier, Taylor, and Jarvis Jones out for a few weeks at least, their schedule is actually pretty favorable for them to enter the mid part of their season with a good record. Their bye week, I believe, comes after the game between the Titans and the Steelers, and it's before the game between them and the Saints. So let's look at their schedule and analyze it going forward. You host Tampa, win. You go to Jacksonville, win. So you're already 5-1, which nobody saw coming. Actually, no, 4-1, my bad. At Cleveland makes it 5-1. I'm sorry, but Cleveland may have been able to almost beat us here, but I do not foresee Cleveland doing that again. They got lucky once, they're not getting lucky twice. If Josh Gordon was back, I might lean a little bit towards the middle, but since he's not and their best receiver is still probably guys I've never even heard of, yeah, it kind of sums it up right there. So that's 5-1. Home against Houston on Monday night. So they'll get a week off and an extra day after beating the Browns. That's a win. I think they'll probably lose to Indianapolis. That makes them 6-2. So you're looking at the Steelers as being 6-2 halfway through the season. How many people predicted that at the start of the year? Not that many. So I'm going with the Steelers on this one, definitely. They're going to win big. The Panthers at the Ravens. Cam Newton's ankle is bothering him. His ribs are clearly bothering him. And he's going into Baltimore. That's not a very good matchup because Baltimore's defensive front does what not a lot of other defensive fronts do, and that is they can get extremely heavy pressure on the quarterback by rushing few guys. Like they have, Haloti Ngata, they've got Terrell Suggs, they've got Elvis Dumervil. They don't need to really send the farm to get to the quarterback. They really don't need to do it. And they've been doing that for the better part of 10, 11, 12 years in that system. So in my book, Carolina better watch out. And Steve Smith's going to be anxious to go against his former team. You know it. I look for him to have a big day. And here's the thing about it. As much as I dislike the Baltimore Ravens and Steve Smith, I am kind of hoping Steve Smith does have a decent game against the Panthers because the Panthers did not handle his situation very well at all. They made it seem like he had absolutely nothing left. And in reality, he's in the top 10 in receiving yards through week 3, so it shows how much are they now. Anyways, going with Baltimore in this one, they look physically tougher, and Carolina looked beat after the Steelers beat them. San Diego hosting Jacksonville. I'm going to let this speak for itself. Jacksonville is 0-3, San Diego is 2-1. Jacksonville has not made the playoffs since the 2007 season. San Diego made the playoffs last year and gave the Denver Broncos, who ended up with the number 1 seed in the AFC and the highest scoring offense in history, a decent game. On NFL Pigskin Pick'em, 1.58% of people are picking Jacksonville to beat San Diego. I am not in that percentage. San Diego is going to destroy them. Keenan Allen's going to have a huge day against that Jaguars defense. Antonio Gates, Phillip Rivers, Ryan Matthews. Good God, I don't even want to think about it. It's one-way traffic. The next game we got is the Falcons at the Vikings. I'm looking forward to this game because, honestly, from here on out, I kind of want to see the Vikings struggle because A lot has been made out of the Adrian Peterson child abuse case, and honestly, I can discuss that after I'm done my picks here in this segment. But here's the thing about it. All right, the Vikings have shown such clear ignorance to what's going on here. Other than suspending Peterson, they've shown almost no, respect for kids or for women or any of that shit. I'm picking the Falcons to beat them on the field too. Obviously, I think that. Again, it's Teddy Bridgewater's first NFL start. I think he's going to struggle. You look at that defensive front with Osi Manura, that's going to be up his ass all day long. You look at the fact that he's got, a decent receiving core, but it's not going to be near enough to match up with Matt Ryan, Roddy White, and Julio Jones. Not happening. The next game I'm actually going with in the upset. I'm picking the Eagles to go into San Francisco and beat the 49ers. And that seems like a stretch at the start of the season, but here's why I am so not surprised with Philly. I'm not surprised with San Francisco. I did my preview show, and I said that Arizona could potentially steal a wild card spot from San Francisco. Now, people thought I was nuts. Here's the thing about it. If you listen to that, yes, I did say I was joking, but I was joking about the fact that Arizona was absolutely and 100% better than San Francisco. I do not necessarily still think that they are, but here's the point. I knew San Francisco was in for a shit year, and I knew Arizona was an underrated team, even without Dockett in Washington. Arizona's sitting pretty at 3-0. San Francisco's in the depths at 1-2. I proved my point. Philly, right now, their offense in the second half is firing on all cylinders. I do not look for this 49ers defense without, let's put it this way. When Alden Smith went down, that killed their pass rush. When NaVorro Bowman went down, it killed half their run defense. Let's look at it this way. They're on half a leg with their run defense and their pass rush. It doesn't matter if you've got Darrelle Revis, Mel Blount, Ronnie Lott, and Ed Reed in that secondary, or Troy Polamalu if it suits your fancy. You're not stopping the Philadelphia Eagles offense. Macklin, Brent Selleck, LaShawn McCoy, they're just going to tear up that defense. The next game is the Sunday night one. My Houdat New Orleans Saints going into Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Last year, the Saints put up 49 on them, and I had set an NFL record, I believe, with 40 first downs. 75, almost 76% of the fans are picking New Orleans over Dallas. I'm picking New Orleans too, but it's going to be a little closer than people think, because New Orleans has not found its gear yet. They've not looked good on the road in the past season and a half. Drew Brees is still not quite playing as well as I think he should be playing. And Dallas has actually looked pretty good. And I'm not saying good in terms of their play level, because they did not play well in Week 1 against San Francisco. And they didn't play that well in the first quarter and a half against the Rams last week. But they're playing resiliently. And a resilient team with a good offense and a little bit of talent is a tough one to beat. But I'm picking New Orleans based on merit and on the fact they've got overall the better team offensively and defensively. And now the Monday night game, New England at Kansas City. I'm going with New England, but I'm not very sold on my pick. I know they're 2-1, but come on, they only put up 16 on the Raiders. And the Chiefs' defense is better, and they're in Kansas City. I'm going to be pretty blunt when I say this. I don't know if New England's going to be a playoff team this year. And I say that not because I think the Dolphins, Bills, or Jets are going to take the division from them when the three of them are so weak together. They've got no consistency at the quarterback position. They've got almost no defense. I mean, come on. As I was saying, New England's record right now is 2-1. They got blown out by the Dolphins. Close victory over the Raiders last week, a very close one. And I think we got to stop judging this New England team from the eyes of either the defense is going to pick up the slack if Brady doesn't play well, or vice versa. They did look good against the Vikings, but that was in Minnesota, and Matt Castle was horrible. So that counts as a win, but still not as convincing as one you'd want. Let's look at their record the rest of the way. I do believe the Bengals are going to beat them. So that means they'll be 3-2 after the Bengals game. At Buffalo, I give Buffalo a chance to beat them 3-all. Jets and Bears and Broncos, all three at home. They're going to win 2 of those 3, so that means they're going to be 5-4. At Indianapolis, 5-5. This Patriots team might not win 10 games. They might not, because the division may not be very strong. But this team is not very good, nor offensively. And again, if you look at the purge of offensive weapons from the roster following the 2012 season, Gronk's hurt. Hernandez is in jail. Brandon Lloyd, they didn't renew him. Dante Stallworth, they didn't ask him to come back. Wes Welker, completely botched that right now. The best receiver Brady ever had in terms of production and chemistry, and he just got rid of him. That was just dumb on their part. I'm picking the Patriots, but again, not by very much confidence. So my picks are this: Houston over Buffalo, Chicago over Green Bay, Detroit over the Jets, Indianapolis over Tennessee, Oakland over Miami, Pittsburgh over Tampa Bay, Baltimore over Carolina, San Diego over Jacksonville, Atlanta over Minnesota, Philadelphia over San Francisco, New Orleans over Dallas, and New England over KC. And that's all I got to say about that. Now on to Adrian Peterson. I've seen the pictures of Adrian Peterson's son after Adrian supposedly beat him. And first off, there are people that are coming out of the woodwork saying that, well, nuns hit kids in Catholic schools all the time and they never got in trouble with it. Or, oh, my parents spanked me and I grew up right. Both arguments are valid for this reason. The nun maybe hit you a few times and that was it. You learned your lesson, you sat back down. Or if your parent did it, they did it the same way. However, you cannot justify cuts and scratches up and down the entire body of a 4-year-old. I don't care how bad the kid is. Maybe paddle him once if he's really bad. But you really cannot make a justification based on word alone. You have to see the pictures. It's ridiculous. Peterson continues to be in denial about being a child abuser, when in reality, those pictures were vindictive of what a child... Shit, I've seen kids that had that suffered from child abuse. They weren't even near that bad. You cannot justify that to a 4-year-old. You can justify a mark on the behind of a 10-year-old. Maybe. And that's really pushing it. You cannot justify scratch marks up and down the body of a 4-year-old. It's child abuse. It's morally wrong. And again, it's just ridiculous because people are saying that, oh, I support Peterson, that he should be playing. No, he should not. What he did, no, he should not. If you are in denial about what you do or what you've done, he's denying it. Rick Spielman, the Minnesota Vikings GM, he's denying that anything bad happened. You want to take a look at that kid's injuries and you tell me that nothing bad happened? You don't beat a 4-year-old that badly. You don't. You cannot justify it. Anyways, I just wanted to get that off my chest. I didn't want to go into a whole another debate about the Ray Rice, like I did with the Ray Rice thing, because, well, for one, you've got to look at it from different angles. And I do want to make one more comment though about the child in the Peterson case and Ray Rice's wife. And it's this: Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson and what they've done, they're the ones, and Roger Goodell and Rick Spielman and all those people are the ones who are getting, all the tabloids and the headlines and whatnot. What really is getting lost in the shuffle here is a woman was punched in the face till she was unconscious, and a kid was beaten till he was scratch marks up and down his body. That's what still pisses me off, is that we're not focusing so much on what's wrong and trying to help the victims here. We're so focused on what is the person in question doing right now. Are they picking their nose? Are they picking their ass? It's ridiculous. And I, a football fan, am getting even more annoyed by it because people are saying, well, is the NFL losing credibility? Yes, they are losing credibility, but that's not the point. The point is that a woman was abused and a woman was attacked and a child was abused, and yet nobody seems to give a shit about either party. Nobody seems to give a shit about either person. They're blowing this off and just trying to say, oh, we need to punish, punish, punish. No, we need to be doing everything to be supportive and helpful. I admit Ray Rice's wife is pretty stupid for still sticking with him and marrying him, but that's just me. And I'm not one to judge. I'm just one to talk sports and pick games. I'm not here to play Dr. Phil, okay? But anyways, again, you know where I stand on this. I condemn people who women, and I sure as hell condemn people that hit kids. Anyways, that's all the time I got for you guys tonight. I really hope you enjoyed, what I had to put out there. I'll probably end up doing an NFL Week 4 wrap-up on Monday night. I work Monday night 3 to 11. After I get off work, I'll probably come up and do it some because I'll probably get a chance to get like the last few minutes of the Monday night game between the Patriots and the Chiefs. But regardless, I'll try as hard as I can to do something. I have my show tomorrow at CCAC from 9 to 10. I wish you guys could listen to that, but we're having technical difficulties right now trying to work out some kinks at the school. So, I'll let you guys know we're back up and running again. But anyways, everybody who stood time and took care and listened to this one, take care and have a good one, everybody.